Man, let's just go ahead and start out with the hardest question ever. Why don't we figure out this thing that we're good at? We say, this is the way I'm going to measure my value. This is the way I'm going to measure how good I am, right? And that makes sense. The reason it never works is that now I know the biggest pain point. Now I know what's probably wrong. Perfect. Now I can plot. I would say the single biggest thing that I learned from the Marine Corps is...
Hey, welcome to a new episode of the Mindset Up Show. This is a special one because it's the first one in the Rule of Three series. And in this series, I'm only asking the guest 3 questions with the purpose of providing you as much value as possible in as little as time. And the first guest is Ryan Christensen. Ryan is a hypnotist for high achievers. He's a veteran and he's an author of the book Winner Peace: How to End Inner Conflict and Make Success. Enjoy. How can you shift your mindset from seeking validation through achievements to validating yourself independently of your achievements?
Man, let's just go ahead and start out with the hardest question ever. Why don't we? So fundamentally, the reason we're chasing external validation is because we don't like who we are. Right? Like we ask ourselves who we are. We're like, well, I'm not good enough. There's something wrong with me. Like I don't deserve in some ways. Like I don't deserve love, whatever that belief happens to be. And that's not an answer we can tolerate, not an answer we can live with. Right? Because in a lot of ways, how valuable we are, how good we are determines what we deserve, what we can get in life. So if we're not very good, then we don't really deserve a lot, can't really get a lot in life. That's not a good answer. So we try and prove it wrong. Right? We try and we figure out this thing that we're good at. We say, this is the way I'm going to measure my value. This is the way I'm going to measure how good I am. Right? And that makes sense. The reason it never works is that we're actually looking at the world through 2 lenses simultaneously at all times. Looking at the trees and the forest. Okay? Because your left brain is very detail-oriented, individual issues, individual problems, individual events, that sort of thing. We're trying to use this to say, this is how the forest looks like. Right? The forest is your emotional mind, the right side of your brain. It's looking at patterns over time. It's looking at narratives to run through things. Okay? And unfortunately, you can never get from the trees to the forest. You can never extrapolate there. Okay? You can never go from the micro to the macro. If you map out New York Times Square in New York to excruciating detail, down to the inch, right? That tells you absolutely nothing about what New York City looks like from the air. And there's no way for you to understand how New York City looks like from the air by mapping out Times Square. You just can't. The problem comes whenever we say, okay, I can build a chain of logic that goes from here to here. Right? I can get a 30,000 foot view. I can create one from this micro understanding. But it's going to be wrong by definition. And you'll have convinced yourself it's right every step of the way. Right, which is where we get most of our problems. Oh, I just have to achieve enough. I just have to be successful enough. I just have to get enough people to like me, and this will change. Nope, not how it works. Not how it works at all. The way out of that trap is to, number 1, recognize that you're in it. The first thing you got to recognize that you're in that trap, and that's hard, especially for people who are chasing success, who are really good at what they do, like athletes, people who are at work, at school, athletics, academics, business, right, acting, whatever that happens to be. Because in those spaces, you're doing exactly what you want. You're good at it. You're loving life. You're getting rewarded for it. And everybody's telling you how awesome you are and how can I be you. So there's no indication from the outside that anything's wrong. Everything's working exactly the way it should. Except for that little voice in the back of your head saying, maybe not. Right? The way to recognize you're in a trap is, can you not take your foot off the gas? Is it okay to take a break? Can you decide not to set that next goal? Because if you can't say no, what you're doing is not a choice, it's a compulsion. Right? Once you recognize that you're in that trap of chasing validation, that's a sign that you actually don't believe good things about yourself. There's all these negative opinions of yourself that you have. Because the only reason to have to prove something is because it's not true for us yet. Do you have to stand in front of the mirror every day and say, I'm a man? No. It'd be ridiculous. Do you have to say, I'm a podcaster? No, it'd be freaking ridiculous. If you believe in God, do you have to say, I believe God? No. Why? Because those things are always already true for you. So the fact that you're trying to prove it, by definition, means you don't believe it on that level, right? Oh, it's so tricky, especially since everybody says this is the way to do it, but that's not how it works. Confidence doesn't come from competence. Confidence is something you gain. Confidence is about what you lose. It's about losing the fear and the doubt and the uncertainty. You can only truly be confident when you get down and figure out what it is about yourself you don't like, what things you wish weren't true, and allow those things to be true long enough to fix it. Unfortunately, since those are emotional constructs, you can't logic your way through it. You can't change it from the outside in. You have to change it from the inside out. That's why hypnosis is such a powerful tool for that, because it actually allows us to get down there, explore what those beliefs really are, take them apart, rebuild them into something better.
Yeah. Okay. Amazing. I've never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
It's like the affirmations are like a band-aid that you're trying to fix. Like you have this meme of a water tank, and with like a band-aid you're trying to fix it, but
Yes.
it's not working. You have to go deeper. Yeah, nice. Okay.
Yeah. It's like fundamentally, if you have to say you're good enough, then you're not good enough. You have to tell yourself how awesome you ain't. Right? Now, you can convince yourself to live a lie. Right? That's one of the tricky things about your unconscious mind, is that one of the big things it does is try and keep us away from emotional pain. Try and keep us away from situations that are really push that button hard. So if it's too painful for you to not be awesome, if it's too painful for you to feel like you're not awesome, all right, well then the easier thing, the less painful to do is like, okay, sure, I'll let you believe you're awesome. I'll let you feel you're awesome. But what that means is that your life narrows to only the situations where you can believe you're awesome, to only those situations that feel good, to only those situations that validate that. The rest of the world's off limits, because that would push that button and confirm that that's not true. Right? So this, and you see this all the time with the shiny, happy people, like high vibes only, right? Positive vibes only. Great. And what do they do? Nothing. They don't do anything. Because to do stuff that's important, they'd be facing challenges, and challenges don't feel good. If you're high vibes only, that's not allowed. Right? And as soon as you start seeing the paths, like, oh man, no wonder this stuff works the way it does. No wonder this is happening. Trying to keep me away from pain. It's too painful for me to believe these negative things to myself. Fine, I'll let you do this. You can be happy all the time. No problem at all. You get to live that life. You're just never going to do anything important.
Definitely. Just sometimes you have to tap in the hard thing to get out of the hard thing. Definitely.
Yeah.
Now, imagine you're not happy with where you are in life right now. What are the first 3 steps that you're going to take to change it?
Number 1, what is the most painful thing about my situation right now? Have to figure out, okay, I'm not happy with this. Something sucks. Something's wrong. What is the biggest pain? Right? Because it's easy to get caught up in the little stuff. Oh, like my neighbors did this, and trash comes this, and yada, 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 and this bill, blah, 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 blah. Right, cool. Take a step back. Right? The reason you're not happy is there's something wrong on a macro level, not a micro level. That emotional 30,000 foot view, forest view rather than trees. Don't get lost in trees. It's not going to help you. So take that step back, take a bigger look. Okay, what is actually the biggest pain point? Number 2, what am I missing? Right? There's something about the way I understand things and the way I'm navigating the world that's wrong. That's got to be in the situation. Right? Because if everything was working right, everything would be working right if I understood what was going on. The only reason I don't feel good about the situation, the only reason I don't like the situation I'm in, is because something's wrong about my model, my framework, whatever that happens to be. There's an incongruity there. There's an assumption that it's wrong. There's something that's wrong. Okay, great. Now I know the biggest pain point. Now I know what's probably wrong. Perfect. Now I can plot a way out of that hole. Right? And the best way to do that is to make being in that situation as painful as possible. We just talked about how our mind tries to keep us away from emotional pain. Cool. I want to make this suck as much as possible. Why? To get me the hell out of the hole. Right? Because a lot of times the reason why we're trapped is because taking action, going out there in the world would be more painful in some way. Too challenging, too big a risk that's going to push some buttons, too big a risk I'm going to fail, whatever that has to be. So you got to make this more painful for that. If I can make this more painful, I got a direction to go. I got a way to get there because I know the pain point the biggest pain I need to fix. I know like kind of what I need to be doing. Great, cool. Get me the hell out of there. Get me in that direction. Now move it again. Once you got momentum, then you can create a better situation. And the reason you want to do that is not so you can get to a more comfortable place, is so you can create space to do the bigger work. Why the hell did I let myself get there in the first place? Why the heck did I stay in that so long? I say, okay, there's something clearly wrong if I let myself be in that kind of situation that long for it to degrade that much. Why did I let myself get there in the first place? Why the heck didn't I take action sooner? Why did I not take care of myself, respect myself, validate myself, love myself enough to allow that to happen to me? So that it never happens again. Because if you fix that, then it doesn't happen again. If you don't fix that, you're going to end up in that hole again. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny how you say, like, make sure you're in the painful situation, make it as painful as possible. Because in marketing, you have like this thing, if you want people to take action, then focus on their pain points. So it's funny how those things intertwine.
Yeah. And the thing about this versus the marketing piece is like, okay, in marketing, I want you to feel painful so that you'll buy my stuff. You're not in pain. I'm going to put you in pain. Right. Which is just shady as crap. Right. I hate that. I can't do it. I cannot do that. Just, it sucks. In this situation, you're aware that you're in pain. You're aware that things are wrong. And so instead of being the pain being put on you, you're taking on the pain willingly as a way to drive you forward. Right. The basic principle is like we move towards pleasure and we move away from pain. And they've done all these different psychological studies and so forth and so on. It says that the pain is about 3 times more powerful a motivator than pleasure. All right, so having a big goal, that's awesome, great. It's not going to get you moving there if there's too much pain in front of your face. Great. So if I can put a lot of pain behind me and I got a place to go, great. Now I got a carrot and a stick. I got something drive me forward and something drive me from behind. That's an incredibly powerful combination. That's 4 times as much. Not 3, not 1, 4, heading in the same direction. That's a beautiful way to get yourself moving. But you're also basically punishing yourself, right? You're deliberately putting yourself in pain in order to get yourself moving. That's not a good situation to put yourself in for long, at all, right? You use that to get yourself out of that bind. You use yourself to get you in a better place and move in a better direction, right? To give yourself space to say, okay, let me back the hell up and figure out what's going on. So you don't have to beat yourself with a stick to get yourself moving the right direction, to where that pleasure, that bonus, that goal, that drive, that North Star pulls you forward without having to beat yourself from behind, right? The best possible way to move through the world is because you want to, because it's what you're meant for, because it's in alignment with who you are, because it's something that's interesting, it's something that's fun. I was talking earlier how, like, in my book, I talk about being in the cage and being in the treadmill. Okay. The cage is that space where it's like things are okay, things are fine, but you're boxed in, right? Your mind doesn't really let you go for the things you want. It's too painful. It's too dangerous, right? The treadmill is that carrot and stick situation, right? You got this Batman origin story, right? The painful past you're running from. Got that thing you're really good at. Everybody's telling you how awesome you are at it. And there's no external view, no external signs that you're doing anything wrong. Everybody's like, how do I do this? Man, you're so amazing. You're so successful. How do you do it? Running like hell is what I'm doing. Right? Because you can't take your foot off the gas. If you can't take the foot off the gas, then what you're doing isn't actually a choice, it's a compulsion. If you can't say no, that ain't a choice. And it's just as much of a trap as being in the cage. Right? So you got to make sure, okay, great, this is a tool to get me out of there. Make sure it doesn't turn into its own kind of trap, because that's just as damaging in the long term.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. That's some wise advice. Use it to get out, but don't keep using it because otherwise you'll be in some trouble in the long term. Yeah, definitely.
Right tool for the right job at the right time.
Yeah, important to notice. What is the biggest lesson you've learned in the time that you were serving your country on the thing that got you mentally stronger?
I would say the single biggest thing that I learned from the Marine Corps is that I have to just freaking get it done. Right? The Marines are sort of very special in that we have a very point A, point B mentality. I'm at point B. I'm supposed to go to point B. I will go to point B. I don't care what's in the way. Doesn't matter. I don't care what you throw in front of me. I'm going to go over, under, around, preferably through, because that's more fun, but I'm going to get there, and I don't care. Right? There's this idea of the official motto of the Marine Corps is Semper Fidelis, always faithful. The unofficial motto of the Marine Corps is Semper Gumpy, always flexible. Why? Nothing ever freaking works. Nothing ever goes to plan. Nothing ever works, right? And so it's this idea of just simply embrace the suck. Yes, this is gonna suck. Yes, it's going to be miserable. And it needs to be anyway, so get to it. Right? And whatever's in the way, figure it out. Improvise, adapt, overcome. Just figure it out. Right? There's this great little movie quote. I think it was from the first Deadpool, where the villain's like, okay, make the plan, execute the plan, exploit the plan to go off the rails, throw away the plan, right? Which is, it's like, and that's how life is, right? And so at a certain point you go, okay, I'm not going to plan from point A to point B. I'm saying that's where I'm going, and we'll see what happens, right? And you get this beautiful set of kind of like natural talents, abilities, inclinations of like, okay, number one, I will do the hard thing. If it sucks and it's got to be done, I just got to do it anyway. It doesn't matter how I feel, to just get it done. Number two, this massive like trust in your ability to overcome and handle any situation that comes your way, because you're always just looking, what's the way around, through, under, over. Yes, there's an obstacle. Great. How do I overcome it? It's a problem. Yes. Great. How do I solve it? Yeah, problem. Yes, cool. Whatever. What's the next one, right? Oh, it's in the way. Great. How do I get over it? Oh, you're in the way? You're not going to be in the way for long. Right? The other thing is that, I inherited a lot of stubbornness from my mother, like a lot. Right? And that's just that thing of just like, I refuse to freaking quit. It's like, I'm more stubborn than you are, period. Right? I'm more stubborn than I am. Sometimes I'll just like drag myself through stuff whether I want to do it or not. Right? So you said we're going that way. Okay. I'm just going to drag you to it. I don't care if you don't like it. Right? And that's an incredible, that tenacity and that just willingness of like, I don't care. It's going to happen. We make this stuff inevitable. It's going to happen. It can be as painful or painless as you like, but it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That sense of inevitability.
Yeah. The failing is not an option with that mindset.
No.
So, yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Thank you very much, Ryan, for your time, for your valuable answers. If people want to get in contact with you, where can they find you?
So the first thing I would say is I wrote a book called Win or Peace, How to End in a Conflict, Make Success Inevitable. It talks all about these two traps of being in the cage, being on the treadmill, how to get yourself out the treadmill, out of the cage, to where you can actually live a full life. You're not driven by pain anymore. You're not boxed in by it, right? To where you can actually be you in your fullest expression of self and just make life, again, make success inevitable, right? By leveraging every part of your mind. It's called Win or Peace, How to End in a Conflict, Make Success Inevitable. It's available on Amazon, all the different formats. If you're ready to go ahead and dive in and do that work to figure out, okay, how did I get here? What's the stuff going on underneath? To actually fix that stuff once and for all. Get to the things you don't like, the things you don't want to be true. Then my website is www.ryanthehypnotist.com. For free 45-minute consultations, we'll dig into what's going on with your life. I'll give you a better idea of why you're in the situation you're in and kind of why those things are playing out the way they are. And we can talk about how to get you out of that cage, off the treadmill once and for all.